Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at one of the very first dinosaurs to ever be discovered. That's right, we're going to be looking at Iguanodon. So stay tuned, have a good time. The Iguanodon played an important role in describing dinosaurs in general, and helped create the initial picture of a life that no longer exists. The story of its discovery is interesting to say the least. It was originally believed that in 1822, English geologist Gideon Mantell stumbled across some fossils of teeth near the town of Sussex on the southeast coast of England. After a few missteps, Mantell identified these fossils as belonging to a giant extinct plant-eating reptile. Except this isn't entirely true. There's a controversial story that Mantell's wife, Mary Ann Mantell, was actually the first to discover iguanodon teeth. She was accompanying her husband on a trip in 1822, and she found some tooth-shaped fossils on the side of the road. Her husband sent them off to paleontologist George Coover. He got so excited because of Mary Ann's discovery that he gathered a team to excavate a tillgate forest where the original teeth had been found. This excavation led to the complete discovery of iguanodon fossils. Sadly, science was dominated by men who think that women could not make such an important discovery, and many scientists didn't believe the story. However, research proves that Mary Ann Mantell did in fact assist her husband in drawing of the findings, and she has now been credited as the first to discover iguanodon teeth. In 1925, Iguanodon was officially named and became famous as one of the first dinosaurs ever discovered. The name Iguanodon means iguana tooth in Greek. The name refers to the morphological similarities between its teeth of this dinosaur and the teeth of modern iguanas. Iguanodon was the second dinosaur to receive a formal name in 1825, the first being Megalosaurus in 1824. Now let's talk about locations, because this guy was all over the place. The Iguanodon lived up to 135 to 125 million years ago from the Cambrian Age to the Cretaceous period. It mainly inhabited Europe, specifically places in such as arid Romania, Valencia, Spain, and Grand Est, France. The fossils have also been found in Africa, North America. Hundreds of fossils of Iguanodon have been excavated so far to the largest collection of Iguanodon fossils were found in Belgian coal mines in 1878. More than 35 skeletons were excavated, which greatly helped scientists develop a better understanding of this dinosaur. Due to a lack of data about dinosaurs at that time, 19th century scientists were struggling with the collected bones and weren't able to properly identify the newly discovered animal. They initially thought that they discovered a new species of fish, rhino, or carnivorous reptile. Even the Mantells thought they were dealing with a prehistoric crocodile. After the mystery of what it actually was solved, a new problem emerged: what it looked like, and where certain bones went. It started with the placement of its prominent thumb spike, which was mistakenly reconstructed on the end of its nose. Reconstructed of the Belgian skeletons mistakenly placed the animal in an upright kangaroo-like stance with its tail on the ground, a misconception not corrected until the late 20th century, when a posture based upon nearly horizontal backbone was adopted. Because it was discovered so early, Iguanodon quickly became what paleontologists call a wastebasket taxon. That meant that any dinosaur which remotely resembled Iguanodon was assigned as a connected species. At one point, naturalists had named no less than 24 Iguanodon species, which most have since been downgraded to 2 species. Only Iguanodon bernissartus, you have no idea how hard it was to figure out how to pronounce that, which my fiance calls it Iguanodon Bernie Sanders. And then there's Iguanodon galvensis. Literally no reason for one name to be easy to pronounce, but the other one's complicated as hell. Those 2 species remain valid. 2 promoted Iguanodon species, Mantellosaurus and Gideon Mantellia, honor Gideon Mantell, something even more fascinating than Mantell's tooth. The fossil that started it all might also deserve to be placed in a separate genus. Iguanodon was the largest, best known, and most widespread of all the iguanodontids. It's difficult for people to get a good visual impression of ornithopods, which were a relatively diverse and hard to describe dinosaur family that vaguely resembled the meat-eating theropods around the time. But it's easier to recognize the immediate descendants of ornithopods, hydrosaurs, or duck-billed dinosaurs. These much bigger herbivores, like Lambeosaurus and Parasaurolophus, were often distinguished by their ornate crest and prominent beaks. The Iguanodon weighed around 4 tons and reached around 33 feet in length. They nearly stood 6.5 feet tall at the hip. Iguanodon had a thin, narrow skull, a toothless beak, long, robust arms, powerful legs, and a long, stiff tail. Iguanodon was a bird-like dinosaur. Young iguanodons were spending more time on 2 legs, while older, heavier adults were spending most of the time on 4 legs. But all iguanodons were able to quickly switch from quadrupedal to bipedal locomotion to escape from the predators. But it was not a very fast animal. Scientists estimated that the iguanodon's max speed would have been around 15 miles per hour. The iguanodon's front limbs were about 25% shorter than the hind limbs, and equipped with 5 fingers, had 3 toes on the hind feet. The wrist bones were fused into a block. The joints of the thumb were fused into a cone-like spike. The 3 middle fingers were ended in blunt hoof-like claws, and the 5th finger diverged literally from the others. The long, prehensile 5th finger was used for collecting food. Furthermore, the smallest finger had 2 small additional phalanges, a throwback to a more primitive dinosaurian configuration. Iguanodon had 29 teeth on each side of the upper jaw and 25 teeth on each side of the lower jaw. The teeth in the lower jaw were much broader compared to the teeth in the upper jaw. The teeth were rigid and formed sloping surfaces whose grinding action could pulverize its diet of low-grown furs and horsetails that grew near stems and rivers. Most bones of the skull and jaws were not tightly fused, but instead had movable joints that allowed flexibility when chewing through tough plant material. The most prominent feature on the body was hard, conically shaped thumb spike. Researchers believed that Iguanodon would use its spike to either protect itself against predators, specifically its natural enemy, the large carnivorous theropod, the Utah raptor, which was about the size of a horse, or use as a tool for breaking down thick vegetation, while still others argue that they were a sexually selected characteristic. That means potentially males with bigger thumb spikes were more attractive to females during the mating season. Iguanodon was a herbivore. Its diet was based on cycads, horsetail, conifers, and ginkgos. As a general rule, herbivore animals, whether dinosaurs or mammals, like to gather in herds to help deter predators, while meat eaters tend to be more solitary creatures. For this reason, it's likely that Iguanodon rolled in the plains of North America and Eastern Europe in at least small groups. but there have been evidence to say otherwise, such as the troubling fact that mass Iguanodon fossil deposits have so far yielded few specimens of hatchlings or juveniles. Iguanodon reproduce by laying eggs. Similar to Parasaurolophus, Iguanodon has had many film appearances, but its reach has gone further than just the big screen. The Iguanodon has inspired artwork and literature, influenced science, and become part of a cultural symbol, and even can host an amazing New Year's Eve party. And Iguanodon has been featured as the main character in the 2000 Disney animated movie called Dinosaur, which I will be doing a video on in the future, if I can get around the copyrights of Disney. Along with Tyrannosaurus Rex and Stegosaurus, Iguanodon was one of the 3 dinosaurs that inspired the appearance of Godzilla. The Lost World. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's 1912 epic adventure story involves herds of Iguanodon roaming South American wilderness. It was also featured in the TV documentaries Walking with Dinosaurs and Dinosaur Planet. On February 4th, 1989, a new asteroid was found in the rocky belt between Mars and Jupiter. In a move that sounded like a naming of an iceberg after the Titanic, NASA gave it this dinosaurian title, 9941 Iguanodon. One comically oversized specimen trudges through Paris in Nicholas Flamerington's The World Before Man in 1886. There's also Raptor Red in 1995, written by maverick paleontologist Robert Bowker, which features a botched Utah raptor attack triggering an Iguanodon stampede. In 1834, Mantell received some congregated Iguanodon bones that turned up near the town of Maidstone, which has been since honored its paleontological heritage by adding the dino to its official coat of arms. Along with Megalosaurus, the obscure Hylaeosaurus, Ichthyosaurus, and Mosasaurus, Iguanodon was one of the 3 dinosaurs to be displayed in the British public at the relocated Crystal Palace Exhibition Hall in 1854. These weren't reconstructions based on accurate skeletal casts as in modern museums, but full-scale, vividly painted and somewhat cartoonish models. Funny story about the Iguanodon, as it was being built in 1854, approached London's Crystal Palace, saw what was arguably history's strangest New Year's Eve celebration. Sculptor Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins had been commissioned to build a full-size prehistoric creature statue that still captivates visitors today, hoping to promote his Victorian Jurassic Park. Hawkins hosted a dinner party inside the belly of the partially completed Iguanodon. Ham was served and the wine was heavily being consumed, and soon the cheerful chant rang out, "The jolly old beast is not deceased, there is life in him again." Thank you to everybody that watched this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment down below, and if you want to see the other episodes in this series, look down in the description for them. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.